a national champion and Gamecock women's basketball legend, Kaela Davis. Kaela, welcome.
Thank you for having me. That intro was far too good for me, but
no, it's true. For lack of better words, she's gotten softer over the years.
I just said that today.
Yeah.
I definitely did. Yeah. I think they got a couple days off, and I just was like, they get how many days off?
How many days off?
This group, they've done something that is unmatched. You know what I mean? To go 38-0 with the national championship. There's just, I don't know who else can really say that.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Coop. I'm your host, Olivia Thompson. I am super excited to be starting this journey with you guys. Feels like a long time coming, and I'm super excited to see this vision come off the ground. The purpose of this podcast is to highlight the behind-the-scenes people at this university who you might not see a lot, but have huge, impactful roles, who I also have personal connections with, and I want to share it with you guys. Welcome. It's going to be a great time, and I'm very excited to get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Coop, the show that celebrates the past and present sung and unsung legends of USC athletics. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, someone who I am extremely excited to talk to, a national champion and Gamecock women's basketball legend, Kaela Davis. Kaela, welcome.
Thank you for having me. That intro was far too good for me, but
no, it's true. Thank you so much for being on. I'm really happy to have you here. You're someone who I haven't really gotten an opportunity to talk to a whole lot. I just wanted to ask, what's bringing you in town?
Really just gearing up. I was out with an Achilles injury last year, so I just haven't had, as much opportunity as I'd like to kind of get up and down and, kind of just play full speed. So, obviously you get to come with the best of the best here and, kind of talk your crap a little bit and have fun with the kids. But, yeah, it's just, like I said, an opportunity to kind of just get back on campus and see Coach and, hang out a little bit. But, yeah, just get up and down.
Yeah, it's really comforting to be a part of a program that keeps people coming back. I really don't know if our fans realize how much and often, or how often former players come back either to practices, games, away games, just coming back, or camps. A lot of former players come back to work camps, and it's just a really special thing, that interaction that they have with the current teams and building friendships like that. But it also kind of seems therapeutic for the players coming back. Would you say that that's true?
For sure, I definitely would say that. I think we all can relate to a level, right? Mm-hmm. Like what it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's hard, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's not easy to be in that position. It's, even the group now, like Coach told them, like, hey, you guys are going to come out ranked #1 in the country, and that's tough. You know what I'm saying?
Very.
Like, so a lot of people, there are very few people who understand what it's like to be, in that group of people. So I think we all kind of, just feel this need to support the next group.
Exactly.
Just because, like I said, we get it, so to be able to kind of have their, their support and know, like, hey, you guys can relax and make mistakes around us, and, we're not here to judge, and, everybody's here to make each other better, at the end of the day. So, it's nice just to be able to, like I said, relax and just be you at the end of the day.
Right. And you see players come back from literally every era
exactly.
of Coach Staley's coaching time.
Sure.
And those players who come back early on in her career, they'll let you know that she's a different coach than the coach that we have now.
Yeah.
She for lack of better words, she's gotten softer over the years.
I just said that today.
Yeah.
I definitely did. Yeah. I think they got a couple days off, and I just was like, they get how many days off?
How many days off?
How many?
I know.
Like, it's cool though. You know what I mean? Because I think you start to see that, this group, they've done something that is unmatched. You know what I mean? To go 38-0 with the national championship. There's just, I don't know who else can really say that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think there's party that's like, I get it, you earned it, you know what I mean? But there's always that part that's just like, man,
maybe be a little more, right? Exactly. Like when I was a player.
Right, I was a player, man. We would have never got days off. So there's always that, fun kind of battle back and forth too. But this group is an amazing group. I'm, definitely excited to see what they do this year.
Right, because when you were on the team, Coach Staley was still a young championship hungry coach. Like, you guys have tasted some success, and you have been close enough to touch a national championship, but y'all hadn't gotten to it yet. So you're taking a little sigh over there. I was gonna ask if you had any anecdotes from Coach Staley that you wanted to share.
I mean, like you said, we were that first group. You know what I mean? We were the first ones to do it. So it just was a very different like vibe and energy and kind of focus to it. But you know, at the same time, like seeing this group now, it makes sense why she is the way she is with this group, because I feel like, as we call it, we were kind of her first like unserious group. You know what I mean? Like we loved to have fun. We loved each other. You know, and there wasn't any like disagreements and, you know, bad blood between everybody. Like like I said, everyone loved everyone, and we wanted the best for everybody, and we just wanted to win, you know, whatever that took, whatever that was. And so, you know, her thing, I think it's like a quote on the wall, right? It's like, basketball has a certain like look, sound, and feel. And she always used to come in and be like, this doesn't look how it's supposed to look, this doesn't sound how it's supposed to sound, it doesn't feel how it's supposed to feel, you know. And we were just like, I mean, you know, we're gonna do our thing,
we're making it work.
Right?
We're making it work. What do you mean?
Okay, like, it's cool, it's fine, everything's okay. So, you know, it's just it was just interesting to kind of see her like slowly have to kind of let go, because, you know, we didn't know anything else. We didn't know how to be anything other than what we were. So I think, you know, that was the first time you saw her kind of like let go a little bit and kind of take her philosophies and morph them into more of like what we were doing, instead of us completely morphing into, you know, like it was just kind of like making it all come together. And I think that's what it was. You know, I think the national championship was just the finishing product, you know, of everything kind of coming together.
Exactly. I had read somewhere that you and Asia had like this unspoken communication, right? And that drove Coach nuts. Insane. So that's just like an example of that bond you guys had, that she kind of had to be like, okay, like this isn't what I want to happen, but if it works for them, gotta let it happen.
Gotta let it happen. Yeah, because it was like, I mean, there were times where like we would go on screens and I just kind of look at A and we were good. Yeah, and we knew what we were doing before it happened. And so, you know, like you said, it would absolutely drive her crazy. Like, why aren't you guys talking on the screens? And we're like,
we don't need to. Like, look,
we were good. Like, we can test it in.
Because
like,
if we talk, then we're telling the whole world what's going on.
Like, we got it. We're
like,
right.
We know what's up.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
You know, so there's always that back and forth. But yeah, you know, like I said, you make it work.
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier in the show that you had just signed a contract to play in China. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How do you feel about going back overseas?
I'm excited. You know, like it's been, again, being out with such a tough injury, you know, it really does. Like, it puts you out, it sits you down. So,
yeah, it does.
You know, Achilles is no joke, that I very quickly learned. But yeah, if anything, like, you know, there's always new jitters. China's a new place for me. I haven't played in China yet. So, you know, there's always like the jitters of it's something new, right? But I'm definitely just excited to get back out and, you know, play competitive basketball. Yeah.
Is playing overseas something you enjoy doing? I know there's like a lot of nuances in overseas play. You ask two people, they'll give you two totally different answers about it. Is living in a foreign country for an extended period of time something you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I mean, like, I chill by myself, you know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with it. But obviously, I think once you adjust to it and once you kind of put your mindset in a certain space, like, you know, this is just kind of what it is, and it's, you know, it's temporary. It's not for everything. You know, you learn to find things that you enjoy, right, with every experience. So, you know, I think that's just what I take it as, like, their experiences, and, you know, you get to kind of experience something different with every place, and, you know, learn something different and grow, and, you know, get better, really, at the end of the day. So, it's rough. Like, I'd be lying if I said, like, oh, it's easy and it's nothing. You know, it's not. But, you know, the traveling and the back and forth, and obviously being away from home and family, and, you know, you miss holidays and stuff like that. But, you know, the way I see it is, like, I'm not going to play forever. You know what I mean? And so it's like I'm just trying to make the most out of, you know, whatever I can get out of it. Right. And it's cool to travel the world and immerse yourself in different cultures. Flights paid for a little bit. Right, you know what I mean? Exactly. Like, exactly. Free a little bit. You might be roughing it a little bit. Exactly. But you're not in America. I think there's something with everything, right? Right. You know what I mean? It's like no situation is going to be perfect. Like, no situation is just everything you want it to be. So it's like you learn to kind of take take what the licks or whatever, from each situation, and you make the most out of it.
Yeah. So I know, like, with everything, our first time doing it can be tough.
Sure.
What was the first overseas country you played in?
Ooh, so I was in Turkey my rookie year.
That's a pretty common one.
Yeah, common. I was at Galatasaray, which is like one of the bigger clubs there. Had no idea what I was walking into. Had no idea about the whole like Galatasaray Fenerbahce rivalry. It was interesting to say the least. I mean, because they hit a point where like you play bad, fans are like hitting you on Twitter, in your DMs talking crazy. So yeah, it's an experience. It's definitely an experience. But like I said, it's so cool, because over there they don't care about men's and women's and this and that. Like if your stuff says Galatasaray on it or our team name, like we're there, we're supporting and we're chanting and we're screaming the whole time. You could be down 30 and it's like
that's really
they're
cool.
Still going crazy over there. So it's really cool just to see how European and overseas basketball like shows up for women's basketball at the same time. And I think that's what makes it enjoyable too. Is like the experience is dope over there.
I want to take it back to the beginning before we talk any more about your adult career, and I have some things written down. You come from a very prestigious basketball family. Your father, Antonio, played in the NBA for 13 years. Your godfather was an NBA coach and player. Your god brother was in the NBA, and your twin brother, AJ, played at Central Florida. There's also another special person in there that I will mention after we talk about them.
Sure.
But what was your upbringing like as a kid surrounded by all of these high-achieving basketball players?
To some extent, normal. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know anything else. Like, it's just... that's my dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's my dad. That's my godfather. That's like my big brother, So I think to some extent it's again, like you grow up and it's just kind of your normal everyday life. Like you come home and dad's asleep. You got to be quiet because he has a game and stuff like that. But I think as I got older and the more I started to kind of play and progress into the basketball stuff and the more you start to realize like you're being serious about playing basketball, I think that's when it hits you that is like, wait, that was really cool. You know what I mean? And you don't even really realize it because again, it's just like normal life. But yeah, I definitely think as I've gotten older, you kind of embrace all of that and you take the tidbits of information and anything you can kind of use and learn to just be better and be the best version that you can kind of possibly be. Right.
Your dad played for multiple teams during his career. What was it like moving around a good bit?
It was interesting. It's funny because till this day, everyone's like, "Where are you?" Like people are like, "Where are you from?" And I'm just like, "Ooh, okay."
That's a tough question.
Like, sure, right? That's a tough. They're like Army brat. I was like, no, I think it's like an NBA brat or something like that.
That's a pretty special thing. You don't hear that a whole lot.
For sure, but yeah, exactly. But so it's cool. But again, like as obviously as a kid, you don't really think of it. It's like it was to a point where it was just like that got traded. Okay, we pack up. We go. So, but I will say, as an adult now, I appreciate it because change is not hard for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like even the life I live now, right? Like you gotta go. Like even this weekend, right? You gotta go pack a bag. You gotta go
to China. Go across the whole world.
Yeah. Right. But it's like I've been doing this my whole life, so it's not anything that I'm like panicked about. It's not anything. Everyone's just like, "Aren't you supposed to be leaving?" I'm like, "Yeah."
But I've got I got suitcases in the back of my car.
I'm like, I'll go. Right. Just laundry, pack a bag. It'll be all right. So I do appreciate that factor is because I'm able to adapt to change really well and like I said, kind of moves and having to pick up and shift here and shift there. It doesn't really bother me. But it's different. Like there's times where it's like I only have selective people that I kind of know from childhood because we were only there so long to meet so many people. You know what I mean? Right. So it's been interesting to kind of like develop relationships more so as an adult than I think most people kind of develop those relationships as kids. But it's been cool. Like I said, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like it was dope.
You mentioned the normalcy that you felt in your circumstances, even though for the rest of us, like those are pretty abnormal circumstances. Sure. Did you feel pressure to pursue basketball because of your family's history and what they do, or was your desire mostly intrinsic? Like, did that come from within?
Yeah. I think one thing I always appreciated about my parents was just it was never a forced thing, right? Like they were never like, "You're gonna play basketball." It was always just kind of Like, I tried gymnastics. My parents were just like, you're going to be above 6'2", sweetheart. Like, you know, you're going to be above 6 feet. So that's probably not something we want to do, you know. So we tried all the things. I think it just kind of naturally happened that way, that, you know, we just kind of gravitated towards wanting to, you know, whatever it is, like spend time with dad in the gym, or, you know, just play basketball. And so I think, again, like, as we got older, it was kind of like, okay, let's just try it, you know, because we weren't the kids that started playing ball at like 5 years old, you know, like, I really didn't start playing basketball till like 8 or 9.
Really? Yeah.
You know, so, and again, some of that was just like, my dad was like, you're not shooting a ball till you can correctly shoot a ball. Fair. So I think that's part of, you know, kind of like the NBA dad thing. But yeah, you know, it was one of those things that very naturally just kind of happened. And I think as we got older, it was just one of those, hey, but if this is what you're going to do, like,
right, let's do it then.
Right. Like, we're going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to just kind of like, whatever it, like, we're going to do it.
Right.
So, yeah, I think as we got older, you know, as you turn up the notches and you go through the different levels, yeah, it definitely turned into like, okay, we're going, you know. Right.
So when you realized that basketball was something you wanted to pursue and take seriously, what was your dad's influence on you during that time? What are some experiences you two share together? What are some things you remember?
I mean, my dad coached me like basically pretty much from when he retired. So we moved down to Atlanta once he retired. So basically from like 12, 13 to pretty much like 17, my dad coached me. Like, my senior year was like the only year my dad didn't coach us. And, you know, I think just one thing I always appreciated was he never treated me like a daughter. You know what I mean? Like, I was just another player that he had really high expectations of. So it was the same thing. Like, you're jacking up, come sit down. Like, you know, I don't care about it. You know what I mean?
You got to humble him quick.
Exactly, right. Like, you figure it out. You know what I mean? So, and if anything, like, I just probably had it worse than everybody because the expectations were higher. Like, he's like, I know what you're capable of.
Right. Makes you better.
Exactly. So, you know, I think it was just, I think my dad just has such a great basketball mind. He just understands basketball so well. So just to be able to kind of see how he approached the game and, you know, whether it be preparation and, you know, we always had a joke, like, we called him Joe Jackson because he just, you know, you go to like travel games and he's like, no getting in the pool, do not leave this room, and you're just like, man, we are 12. Like, we want to go have fun and like, you know, stay up and it's sleepovers. And he was like, everybody in their own room. So it was cool though. You know what I mean? Again, it's just to see his approach and, you know, you can't complain. Like, I think we would lose, you know how many games you play in the summer? Like, I think we would lose maybe 2 games a summer.
Wow.
2 or 3 games a summer we would lose.
That's pretty.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Incredible.
Like, that's right. Again, thinking back on it, it's cool. So again, I think just to see and learn from him and just how his mind works from a basketball standpoint, you know, it's definitely kind of shaped how I approach it, you know, and how I learn the game and, you know, just know the game of basketball.
Right. So coming out of high school, you decided to go to Georgia Tech. What was it about Georgia Tech that made you interested in going there?
I just wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something that no one had ever done. You know, I wanted to, like, again, just do stuff that no one had ever done because I think it was easy. You know, I could have gone back to Tennessee.
Anywhere you wanted, right? Yeah, were you the number 1 player in your class?
That's debatable, but sure.
Right,
you know, maybe, you know, whoever you're looking at, humble, 1 or 2 or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Genuinely, it's just like all that stuff, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean.
But all that to say, you could have gone wherever you wanted to go, and you chose I don't want to disrespect Georgia Tech, a lower ACC school. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, again, you know, I think it was just once I kind of narrowed down on my options, it was like, yeah, let's just see what barriers we can kind of break here, you know, and we lived in Georgia. It was close to home, and, you know, there were a lot of kind of good things with it. But, you know, obviously once you kind of get into it, that looks very different when you're
absolutely
when you're in it.
Right. And during your time there, you had a lot of success, referring to the notes again. You earned all ACC twice, and you were the fastest player in program history to reach 1,000 points. That's some pretty impressive accolades in 2 years. Sure. So there was no doubt that eyes were on you, and you were going to be a high draft pick had you stayed. But you chose to enter your name in the transfer portal and go to a team that had multiple weapons on it already. Right. What led you to make that decision?
Again, I think when you grow up around the basketball that I've grown up around, like you want to do those things, you know, you want to achieve those things because you know they're doable, you know they're possible, and you see the things that come with doing those, you know, those specific things. You know, I watched certain people, you know, win national championships, and you know, I watched like people just do really cool things. So I think once you kind of hit that point, it's like, yeah, man, this individual stuff, it's cool, it's great, but like I want to win some games. You know what I mean? Like I want to win stuff, and I want to like do something impactful that's not just like, sure, okay, let's see who can be the next to get to 1,000 points. You know what I mean? For me, it's like, who cares?
Right.
And you know, in reality,
we want that ring.
Right. You want a ring, but it's like to be able to have even now, like driving around Columbia and seeing all the little signs that say like Women's National Championship and knowing like, hey, I was a part of that. Right. That to me is so much cooler.
Absolutely.
Than just being like, oh, I scored 1,000 points the fastest. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like you weigh it out, and that's, you know, to me at the end of the day, like that's what matters. Right,
exactly. Because I mean, when they talk about like the GOAT discussions, it falls back to like, but do they have a ring?
Exactly.
But do they have a ring? And you joined a team that was still an up and coming dynasty. Yeah. Like I had mentioned before, Coach Staley, she's won SEC championship. She's made it to regional finals. She's made it to a Final Four. But you joined her when she was on that train to get to a national championship. For sure. What was it specifically about South Carolina that turned you on to go in there?
It was the same kind of conversation, right? Like, let's do something that hasn't been done before. You know what I mean? And there was still this chance to, you know, hang a banner and win a championship that wasn't there, and do something that just simply hadn't been done, you know, in a place that really is unmatched. You know what I mean? Like from the fan base and again, just everything, you know, all the energy that was kind of around South Carolina at that point. Like, again, I could have gone to Tennessee. I could have gone anywhere else and just been like, let's just do another thing. Let's hang another banner. Let's win the 8th championship, the 9th, the 5th, whatever it is. But again, to go through all these marks and to be the first of, you know, from that school to do it, like that's what makes it special. That's what makes it cool, you know. And it's not to take away from anything anyone else has done, but you know, to be able to say you were the first, like that's always you know, will be such a cool thing to me.
You transferred during a time where it wasn't the norm, you know, like, and it wasn't as widely accepted and common. And there's a lot of risk attached to transferring, no matter what era you do it in. I mean, which can lead to some nerves and anxieties about what you're stepping into. What eased those anxieties once you got to South Carolina and you started interacting with your teammates and coaches? Yeah,
I mean, I think just once you start interacting, you know, again, with that group of girls, with the coaches, you know, just fans and just the whole environment. I think once you're in it, like, they have such a way of making you feel so comfortable. You know what I mean? You're not, like you're saying, it's tough. It's tough to walk into new locker rooms and, you know, you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know, you know, you haven't really met these people. Especially for me, I had to make a decision so quick that there wasn't all this time to kind of get to know, you know, people. So, yeah, I mean, I credit it to Coach and the staff and just how she operates, you know, her program to be able to bring new people in that type of setting, and it just kind of flow like seamlessly. When you transferred, you had a lot of momentum at Georgia Tech. I mean, you came off 2 very successful seasons. Again, earning 1,000 points in 2 years is very impressive. And then you had to go into a situation where you had to sit out a year. You know, what's that like when you have a lot of momentum and then you're suddenly just halted and you're put on pause? Like, you could participate in practices, but that team chemistry that's built in a game is totally different from when you're in practice playing against practice players and each other. So what was that like for you, kind of having to pause and watch for a whole year at a pivotal time in your career? For sure. Yeah, it was tough. Like you said, I think it was just a very unmatched thing to do. You know, you just didn't really hear about, you know, kids transferring and stuff like that. But I think because I had a good 2 years at Tech, it was able to kind of keep the conversation alive for what was possible, if that makes sense. You know, so I think it was kind of one of those things where it was like, yeah, you know, this group is really good because, you know, that's when Tiffany Mitchell was there and Asia was still playing. Khadijah Sessions and Asia Dozier, like that group was really, really talented, but I think everyone was still excited because it was like, hey, look at all these really great things like Alicia Gray did at North Carolina. Like, look at all these things like Kaela did at Georgia Tech. And then you combine it with, we had Ty Harris come in, Asia was there. So I think it was able to kind of keep the conversation alive about what could be, and it kept the excitement of, hey, we're excited about what we have here now, but we're also excited about, what next year can be.
Exactly. I want to go back. I want to backtrack to that person I mentioned that I wanted to keep a surprise for a little bit. Sure. This is something I had no idea about either, and I'm sure our audience doesn't know either. You are god sisters with Candace Parker. That is very cool. I mean, that's like Mount Rushmore of women's basketball. Sure. Tell me about your relationship with her.
So we basically grew up in like the same city. She's from Naperville, Illinois. My mom is from Aurora, so those are pretty much kind of like neighboring cities. So I think it started out just as like me and my brother, we're twins, so it was like our birthday, and I think it was one of those just like, hey, I think I loved Candace. Like, I loved watching her high school. I knew all of her teammates, and it was just like the coolest thing ever to me. So I think my mom like surprised her. She showed up for our birthday party, and literally ever since then, like, we were just tied at the hip. Like, we just were instant like besties, and we've just stayed in each other's lives this whole time, and that's just like literally now I'm just probably the annoying little sister, and and things like that. But yeah, it's been an amazing relationship to have and maintain, and just kind of getting a backstage kind of seat to see all the things that she's done has been really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's super cool. Another rare thing about your life that sure. A lot of people wouldn't really understand the magnitude of, but that's pretty cool. But to you, that's just like your best friend,
Yeah, it's my sister, at the end of the day. Like, even when I have conversations with people, like, yeah, my sister, and everyone's like, who's your sister? Like, you have a sister? And I'm like, it's complicated. But, but yeah, essentially, you know what I mean? Like, her kids, I was like, my nephews and my niece and stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, again, that's just another person that's like, that's my family. And, obviously, yeah, you're just proud of your family for, again, doing all the things that she's been able to do.
Right. I want to talk about some of your just some of your personal favorite memories from your time at South Carolina. When I asked that question, is there a moment that sticks out to you in particular in your head?
Man, there's so many. I don't know. I think one of the funniest moments we had, like, until this day, like, I don't really know what made me say it, but we're down in the Final Four game. We're down 9 to Stanford. And, of course, us being us, we are not panicked about it. That's no shade to Stanford or anybody, but we knew we didn't have a great first half, and, we knew we just need to come. Like, we were looking at the clock. Like, if we can make it to halftime and we're not down, like, 16, we're probably going to be okay. We might be able to figure this out. So we get into halftime, and Coach, of course, comes in there amped up, right? Like, what? Like, what? What's the problem? What's the issue? And why do I have to, like, get on to you guys to do X, Y, Z? And for some reason, I go, because we're millennials? And, like, I have no idea why that was my answer. And everyone was just like, what? You know what I mean?
What was her reaction to that?
She was just like, "Kay, what are you talking about? Right? Like, what are you talking about?" And everyone just starts dying laughing. And I think it's just what we needed. You know what I mean? I think we needed to kind of just relax and, like, take the pressure off ourselves a little bit. And I genuinely did not say it to be funny, but I think once it came out, I was like, that was so unserious of me to say that. But yeah, I think that's just one of those moments that was us, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of stands out as just a funny moment where things probably weren't funny. The atmosphere wasn't very
right, but you need that, and that changes the energy in the room, and everyone, like, suddenly has, like, a different approach to life, if you will.
But yeah, there's a ton, you know what I mean? It's just, like I said, it was a small group, a very tight-knit group, but, we had a lot of fun, and we enjoyed being around each other, genuinely. So, yeah, like I was about to say, I could probably sit here all day and just
tell stories.
Right, tell stories about just the insane things that happened. But like I said, that group was really, truly an amazing group. Yeah,
and then you decided to forego your senior year and enter the draft. What led you to make that decision?
I think, like, you balance all these factors, right? Of just like, what's the draft class looking like? You know, kind of where's your draft stock? You know, just all those different things. I think once we kind of sat and, you know, and talked about it, like, obviously, again, that was kind of a time where, you know, I think it was a different time where being in college 5 years wasn't like a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it was, but it was really only like if you're hurt, maybe stay 5, or if you really need that 5th year. But again, being like a 5th year senior was kind of like frowned upon a little bit. So, you know, I think we kind of just took all of the things and just, you know, made a decision and felt like, you know, that's kind of what was best for me in that moment.
Before we finish up, I've had a really good time on this podcast. Thank you a lot for being on. But something I want to continue throughout the show is to ask every guest at the end the same questions.
Okay.
So what is the best piece of advice you've ever received or would like to share with others?
Oh, man. Honestly, it's from Coach. Coach would always say, like, basketball is something, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And I genuinely don't think I understood that concept until I was in the WNBA. And because, you know, I think, to be quite frank, like, basketball has always just been a very effortless thing for me. You know, in high school, my coach would always get on me because he was like, listen, I understand your 85% is good enough to be really good, but let's tap into the, you know, the other parts. And so I think once you get to the league and everybody's really, really good, you know, you have to figure out, like, is this something you really want to do, you know? And I think even this past year with this injury and kind of fighting to get back into the league and fighting to, you know, get back to where I want to be, you learn that, you know? It's like, I have to put whatever I want to get out of this, like, I have to put that into it. And so I would just encourage everybody to do the same, you know what I mean? Like, and I think in life in general, like, what you put into stuff is what you're going to get out of it. And it seems so simple, but I think once you're in it and your back's kind of against the wall, you know, you got to go this way or this way. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm thankful that I made a decision to kind of say, you know, no, I'm going to put more into it, you know, and, you know, I've been grateful to kind of get more out of it.
Right, exactly. I mean, that you can think that you're prepared for a situation, and then you get there and you're like, oh, it'll humble you real quick, real quick. Yeah, so that's really a good advice, and that is something that she iterates a lot.
You heard it, right?
Yeah, I swear, like, all of us kind of hear like the same script every single year.
It's like, until it stops working,
yeah,
what can we say about it? You know,
right? Don't fix it if it's not broke, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then, lastly, if you weren't a basketball player, what would you be doing?
So initially, one of the reasons I also went to Georgia Tech is I was studying engineering. And one thing I was really interested in was, how do I explain it? It was essentially like finding ways to kind of maintain energy within like third world countries. So there was like a concept where it's been created, but it was like, kids can like kick around a soccer ball, and the energy that it creates when you're playing with the soccer ball, like, you can actually open a little latch and like plug things into it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like stuff like that I just thought was super, super cool. And then also I love animals, so I'd probably be doing something like working with animals. I remember one time I saw a video of a elephant and he had a prosthetic, and I was like, I want to.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's dope, right?
I want to do that.
Make a
freaking
animal,
right?
Like,
I want an elephant leg, right?
Like, you know. So, yeah, originally, like, that was another reason I went to Tech, was just, you know, it's one of the best engineering schools ever, you know. So I definitely wanted to, you know, which I'm still probably looking into. I got a couple people on my back about that, but you know, maybe we'll go back.
It's never too late.
Never, yeah. So I definitely think at some point I'll go back to Tech and finish my engineering degree. But yeah, I mean, that was, you know, another thing that I wanted to do. So it'd probably be, probably just doing something within engineering, or definitely working with animals.
That's super cool. And honestly, I can't say I expected that answer, but that's really, really dope. Did you pursue engineering when you got to South Carolina, or did you change your major?
I changed it. Yeah, I changed it to the way the credits switched over and everything was just a nightmare.
Yeah,
so I think it once I kind of looked at it, IT was kind of the best route to take, integrated technology. So that's what I ended up kind of doing. You know, it's kind of taking that route, but yeah, like I said, I think that's just another reason I'd love to go back and, you know, like, finish the engineering degree, especially just maybe without the basketball stuff, because My gosh, being a
Oh my God, being a student athlete is not for
with
the weak.
engineering. I was
Not
like,
for
I don't
the-
know
yeah,
what I thought
that's
I
a
was,
lot.
but it ain't this. So.
that is a lot. I mean, that's why you see people in like communications.
Right, business.
I was a psychology major. I'm like,
Ooh, God bless you. Yeah.
But let me take the psychology degree. Yeah,
Exactly.
engineering is no joke.
Yeah,
That's
rough.
impressive.
It was cool. Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, it was rough.
Brutal.
It was
Brutal.
Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah. Well, Kaela, I really appreciate having you
Appreciate
on.
you, man.
This was a really good time.
For sure.
And we will see you guys back next time.